The giant crystal halls of the Galactic Council Station floated in the dark space between star systems. For 30 years, beings from 12 different worlds had met here to make decisions that affected trillions of lives across the galaxy. Today, something was very wrong. Ambassador Jake Martinez should have been sitting in his usual seat at the human delegation table. A polished chair remained empty. So did the 5 seats next to it, where his team normally sat. The human section of the Great Hall looked abandoned. High Counselor Vexstar, a tall reptilian being with golden scales, stared at the empty seats. His long tail twitched with worry. The humans had never missed a session in 3 decades. They were always the first to arrive and the last to leave. They mediated fights between other species. They brought new ideas and solutions to problems that had puzzled the Council for centuries. "Where are they?" whispered Minister Quindle from the Althean delegation. Her blue skin had turned pale with concern. The Altheans relied heavily on human trade routes to move goods between their distant colonies. War Commander Thaxul of the Vraxi Empire slammed his armored fist on his desk. "Good riddance," he growled. The humans were always sticking their noses where they did not belong. "We are better off without them." But even as he spoke, Thaxul felt uneasy. The humans had stopped 3 wars between his people and neighboring species. Without their mediation, those conflicts might start again. The answer to the mystery sat in a secure vault on Earth, 47 light-years away. 1 week ago, Jake Martinez had stood in this very hall and delivered a message that shocked every being present. "The human government has decided to withdraw from all galactic affairs," Jake had said in his calm, steady voice. "We will no longer participate in council meetings. We will no longer provide mediation services. We will no longer share our technology or research. All human colonies will cease contact with alien species immediately. Do not try to contact us again." The council members had sat in stunned silence, and everyone started talking at once. Questions flew across the hall like angry wasps. Why were the humans leaving? What had caused this sudden change? Could they be convinced to stay? Jake had gathered his papers and walked out without answering. A single question. His team followed behind him. The human delegation boarded their ship and left the station. That was the last time anyone had seen them. Now, back on Earth, President Lisa Carter sat in her office in the Global Government Building. The weight of her decision pressed down on her shoulders like a heavy blanket. Through her window, she could see the massive defense satellites that ringed the planet. Every human world now had similar protection. "The barrier is complete, Madam President," reported Admiral Ryan Cole from the main screen on her wall. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his eyes were sad. "All alien vessels have been escorted out of human space. The communication blackout is in effect," Lisa nodded. "How are our people taking it?" "Mixed reactions," Ryan admitted. "Some are angry that we waited so long to do this. Others worry we are making a mistake, but most understand why we had to act. The reason was simple, even if the decision had been hard. 3 months ago, the Galactic Council had passed Resolution 847. The resolution changed the voting rules for the Council. Despite being one of the most active and helpful species in the galaxy, humans were classified as a junior species with limited voting rights. The final insult came when the ossified and the Council approved the Vraxian Empire's request to colonize the outer planets of the Sol System, Earth's own solar system. The Council had not even asked for human permission. They treated humanity's home system like unclaimed territory. "We built the quantum communication network that lets them talk to each other," Lisa said quietly. "We designed the medical systems that keep half their species alive. We stopped their wars and solved their problems. And they treat us like children who cannot be trusted with important decisions." Captain Amy Brooks stood on the bridge of the bridge. defense ship Defiant, watching the last alien freighter leave human space. The Corvin ship moved slowly, its crew clearly reluctant to go. The Corvins had been good trading partners with humanity for 20 years. "Captain," her communications officer called out, "the Corvin ship is requesting permission to stay. They say they have nowhere else to go." Amy felt sorry for them, but orders were orders. Negative. All alien vessels must leave human space immediately. Direct them to the nearest non-human system. The Corvin ship's engines flared to life, carrying it away from human territory. Amy watched until it disappeared from her sensors. She wondered if she would ever see a friendly alien face again. Meanwhile, on the council station, emergency meetings ran day and night. The Xanthari had called for special sessions to discuss the human crisis. Species representatives who had barely spoken to each other in decades now worked together to understand what had gone wrong. "We need to examine our recent decisions," said Elder Cassine, the youngest member of the Xanthari delegation. "Perhaps we moved too quickly with some of our votes." "The humans are being emotional," Thaxel argued. "They will return when they realize they need us more than we need them." But even as he spoke, reports were coming in from across the galaxy. Trade routes that had operated smoothly for decades were breaking down. The humans had managed most of the galaxy's shipping lanes. Without them, cargo ships were getting lost or attacked by pirates. Worse, the technology problems were already starting. Dr. Helen Ross had been the galaxy's leading expert on quantum fold drives. The engines that powered faster than light travel were beginning to malfunction without her regular maintenance updates. On the mining world of Corva Prime, the massive excavation machines ground to a halt. The machines used human-designed control systems that needed regular software updates. Without those updates, the machines stopped working. The Zilthani research station sent desperate messages to the Council. Their life support systems upgraded. With human technology 5 years ago, were showing error codes that no one could understand. Without human technicians, the station's 3,000 researchers might die. High, Counselor Vextar read report after report in his private office. Each one told the same story. The humans had not just been members of the galactic community. They had been the glue that held it together. How did we not see this? He asked his aide, a young Xanthari named Silvar. "We took them for granted." "Sir," Silvar replied honestly, "they were always there to help, so we stopped noticing how much they did for us." Vextar looked out at the stars through his office window. Somewhere out there, humanity was building walls around their territory. They were cutting themselves off from the galaxy they had helped create. The silence from human space was deafening. For the first time in 3 decades, the galaxy had to face its problems without human help. The Council was about to learn just how much they had lost. 3 months had passed since the humans went silent. The galaxy was starting to fall apart. On the border between Kentari and Morvek space, laser fire lit up the darkness. The two species had been enemies for over a century, but human diplomats had kept them from fighting for the last 15 years. Now, with no one to stop them, their old hatred burned bright again. Admiral Zektar of the Kentari fleet watched his ships destroy a Morvek supply convoy. His 6 eyes glowed with satisfaction. "Finally," he said to his crew, "no more human peacekeepers telling us to show mercy to our enemies." 3 systems away, Morvek General Horax felt the same way. Her massive warships were already moving toward Kentari colonies. "The humans always protected the weak Kentari," she growled. "Now we will show them what real warriors can do." The war spread quickly. Both sides called their allies for help. Soon, 8 different species were fighting across 12 star systems. Planets burned. Billions died. The conflict that the humans had prevented was now consuming everything in its path. On the Galactic Council Station, emergency alarms had been ringing for weeks. Minister Quindle of the Altheans had not slept in days. Her blue skin looked gray with exhaustion. "The trade routes are completely broken," she reported to the emergency session. Human shipping companies handled 60% of all galactic cargo. Without them, most goods cannot reach their destinations. The problems were getting worse every day. Merchant ships that had followed human-designed routes for decades were now getting lost in dangerous areas of space. Pirates attacked them without fear because human patrol ships were no longer protecting the trade lanes. The Delta colonies had run out of medical supplies. For 20 years, human pharmaceutical companies had provided the medicine that kept their people healthy. Now, children were dying from diseases that had been cured decades ago. High Counselor Vexstar looked around the council chamber. Half the seats were empty. Many species could no longer afford to send representatives to the station. The galactic economy was collapsing. "What about the communication network?" asked Elder Rindar of the Torvan people. The answer made everyone nervous. The quantum communication system that connected the entire galaxy had been designed by human scientists. It needed constant maintenance and updates to work properly. For 3 months, no one had been able to contact the humans who knew how to fix it. "We are losing contact with Outer Rim systems," reported the station's chief engineer, a nervous Zilfani named Plixo. "The network is breaking down section by section. Soon, we may not be able to talk to anyone beyond the core worlds." The technology crisis was even worse than the trade problems. Dr. Helen Ross had been the galaxy's top expert on quantum fold engines. Every species used her designs to travel faster than light. But the engines needed regular updates to work safely. On the mining world of Corva Prime, Chief Engineer Bollock stared at his broken equipment. The massive machines that dug precious metals from the planet's core had stopped working 2 weeks. Go. Error messages flashed on screens that no one could understand. The humans designed these control systems, Bolek explained to his worried workers. Only they know how to fix them. Without these machines, we cannot mine anything. The Corvan economy depended on selling metals to other worlds. If the machines stayed broken, millions of Corvans would lose their jobs. The entire species might face economic collapse. Similar problems were happening everywhere. The Alphean space elevators used human-built safety systems. The Synthari weather control satellites ran on human software. The Vraxian military bases had human-designed defense shields. All of these systems were slowly failing without human support. On Earth, Commander Steve Walsh monitored the situation from the Global Defense Center. His job was to watch alien movements near human space and make sure no one tried to break through their barriers. "Sir," his aide reported, "we are receiving hundreds of emergency messages from alien worlds. They are begging for help with medical crises, equipment failures, and economic problems." Steve felt bad for them, but his orders were clear. Send the standard response. All communications from non-human sources are to be returned unopened. The messages kept coming anyway. The planet Nexus Prime, home to millions of refugees from the Kentari-Morvok War, sent desperate pleas for medical supplies. Only human doctors knew how to make the medicine they needed. The Alteran research station faced an even worse crisis. Their quantum experiments had gone wrong, creating a dangerous energy buildup that could destroy their entire solar system. Human scientists had dealt with similar problems before, but now there was no one to help them. President Lisa Carter read the reports in her private office. Each one described suffering that humans could easily prevent. But she remembered why. They had left the galactic community in the first place. "They treated us like children," she said to her security advisor, General Paul Kim. "They voted to give away our own solar system without asking us. They passed laws that made us second class citizens in our own galaxy. General Kim nodded. The isolation is working, Madam President. They are learning how much they need us. But not everyone agreed. Dr. Monica Taylor, Earth's former ambassador to the Zilthani, argued for limited humanitarian aid. We can help people without rejoining the Council, she said. Children are dying out there. We have the medicine to save them. The debate split human society. Some wanted to maintain complete isolation until the aliens learned their lesson. Others felt that helping suffering people was more important than making political points. Meanwhile, the Council was growing. Desperate. They had tried everything to contact the humans. Official messages, personal appeals, even attempts to sneak past the defense barriers. Nothing worked. The humans had built their walls too well. War Commander Thaxel of the Vraxian Empire had a different idea. If they will not listen to words, he told his assembled fleet commanders, perhaps they will listen to weapons. The hegemony, a military alliance of 6 species, began gathering the largest invasion fleet in galactic history. Over 3,000 warships assembled at the edge of human space. Their plan was simple: break through the human defenses and force them to rejoin galactic society. The humans have forgotten their place, Vaxall announced to his troops. They are one small species in a galaxy of thousands. We will remind them that they need us more than we need them. But deep in space, Admiral Ryan Cole was watching every move the alien fleet made. Human sensors tracked each ship as it joined the gathering force. Earth's defense computers calculated attack patterns and prepared countermeasures. Let them come, Admiral Cole said quietly. They are about to learn why we were able to stop their wars so easily. It was not because we were peaceful. It was because we were stronger than all of them. High Counselor Vextar felt the weight of failure crushing down on him. The Xanthari had led the Galactic Council for over 1,000 years. Under his leadership, it was falling apart in just 3 months. His homeworld was facing its own crisis. The atmosphere processors that kept his people alive were breaking down. The machines had been upgraded with human technology 15 years ago. Now they were producing poison instead of breathable air. If the processors failed completely, the entire Xanthari species would die within weeks. The galaxy that had seemed so stable and peaceful was revealing its true nature. Without humans to hold it together, old enemies fought new wars. Without human technology, civilizations crumbled. Without human diplomacy, cooperation turned to chaos. The Council had made the biggest mistake in galactic history. They had driven away the one species that made everything else possible. Now they were paying the price for their arrogance. 6 months had passed since humanity went dark. The galaxy was dying. The hegemony fleet moved toward human space like a storm of metal and fire. 3,000 warships from 6 different species had joined together for one purpose: to force the humans back into galactic society. War Commander Thaxel stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue glow of human defense barriers grow larger on his screens. They have built a wall around their entire territory, reported his tactical officer. But walls can be broken. Admiral Ryan Cole watched the alien fleet approach from his command center on Earth. His face showed no emotion as he studied the enemy formations. Behind him, dozens of human officers worked at their stations, preparing for battle. Size of the attacking force? He asked quietly. 3,000 ships, sir, came the reply. Mixed fleet composition. Vraxian heavy cruisers, Kentari destroyers, Morvic battle carriers, and our defense force? 200 ships, sir. The numbers seemed impossible. The aliens had 15 ships for every human vessel. But Admiral Cole had been planning for this moment since the day humanity left the Council. He knew something the aliens had forgotten. Humans did not build their technology to impress people. They built it to work. Begin Operation Lighthouse, he ordered. The first alien ships hit the human defense barrier at full speed. The Vraxians expected their heavy cruisers to punch through like they had in 100 previous battles. Instead, their ships simply disappeared. The barrier absorbed them completely, leaving no trace they had ever existed. "What happened to Squadron 7? Thaxel demanded. "Unknown, sir. They are gone." More ships entered the barrier. More ships vanished. The aliens tried different approaches, different weapons, different tactics. Nothing worked. Human technology was decades ahead of anything the galaxy had seen. The few ships that made it through the barrier faced an even worse surprise. Human defense platforms emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system. These stations had been built in secret over the past 6 months, using technology that made alien weapons look like toys. The battle was over in 6 hours. Of the 3,000 ships that attacked human space, less than 50 escaped. The rest were destroyed or captured. War Commander Thaxel himself was pulled from the wreckage of his flagship by human rescue teams. The survivors returned to their homeworlds with terrifying reports. Human weapons could destroy entire fleets in minutes. Human defenses could make ships vanish without a trace. The species they had dismissed as junior partners were actually the most powerful military force in the galaxy. The defeat of the hegemony sent shockwaves across known space. If the combined military might of 6 species could not break human defenses, what chance did anyone else have? On the council station, panic set in. High Counselor Vextar called emergency session after emergency session, but fewer representatives came each time. The galactic government was falling apart as species withdrew to protect their own territories. The breakdown was accelerating everywhere. The Kentari-Morvac War had spread to involve 12 species. Entire star systems burned as old hatreds exploded into violence. The human peacekeepers who had prevented these conflicts for decades were gone, and no one else could fill their role. The Delta colonies faced complete collapse. Without human medical supplies, plague was spreading through their population centers. The death toll reached millions and kept climbing. Children died from diseases that human doctors could cure with simple injections. Chief Medical Officer Yao Liang of Delta Prime sent desperate messages into the void, hoping some human might hear and take pity. "Please," she broadcast on all frequencies. "We need your help. Our children are dying. We know we failed you, but please do not let the innocent suffer for our mistakes." The messages went unanswered. On the mining world of Corva Prime, the economic disaster was complete. The great machines that had pulled wealth from the planet's core sat silent and broken. Without income from metal exports, the Corvan government could not feed its people. Similar problems plagued every world. The Zilthani research stations faced extinction as their life support systems failed. The Alphean trade empire crumbled as their shipping routes became too dangerous to use. The Torvan agricultural worlds could not transport their food to markets. Most critically, the galactic communication network was dying. The quantum relays that connected distant worlds had been going offline one by one. Soon, entire sectors would be cut off from the rest of the galaxy, isolated and alone. On Earth, the debates grew more intense each day. President Lisa Carter faced pressure from all sides as reports of alien suffering flooded in through intelligence channels. "The Xanthari homeworld is poisoning itself," reported Dr. Monica Taylor at the daily briefing. "Their atmosphere processors are failing. If we do not help them soon, an entire species will die." General Paul Kim disagreed. "They made their choice when they voted to give away our solar system. Let them face the consequences. We are talking about billions of innocent people," Dr. Taylor argued. "Children who had nothing to do with the Council's decisions." The human population was split. Some wanted to maintain complete isolation until the aliens learned proper respect. Others felt that watching genocide happen when they could prevent it was wrong. Regardless of politics, Commander Steve Walsh continued monitoring alien communications from his listening posts. The desperation in the messages was growing stronger every day. Entire worlds begged for human intervention. Species that had barely acknowledged human existence now praised them as saviors and gods. The irony is thick, he told his staff. 6 months ago, they treated us like children. Now they call us the guardians of galactic civilization. But the most shocking development came from individual alien worlds bypassing the Council entirely. The planet Nexus Prime, drowning in refugees from the spreading wars, offered to become a human colony in exchange for protection and aid. The Alteran research station went further. They broadcast a formal surrender, offering to become a human research facility if human scientists would save them from the quantum cascade that threatened to destroy their system. Dozens of other worlds made similar offers. They would give up their independence and become human territories if it meant survival. President Carter read these offers with mixed feelings. The aliens were finally recognizing human superiority, but at a terrible cost. Entire civilizations were collapsing while she debated what to do. The Council made increasingly desperate attempts to contact Earth. They offered humanity full membership rights, permanent seats on all committees, and veto power over any decision affecting human interests. Some even suggested dissolving the Council entirely and creating a new government with humans in charge. All offers were returned, unopened. The crisis reached its peak when the Xanthari homeworld's atmospheric crisis became critical. High Counselor Vextar himself recorded a personal message to President Carter, broadcasting it on every channel in the galaxy. "I am dying," the old reptilian leader said, his voice weak from breathing poisoned air. "My people are dying. My children are dying. We failed you, and we know it. We treated you badly when you deserved honor. We ignored your contributions when we should have celebrated them. We are sorry. We are so very sorry. But please do not let our children pay for our mistakes." The message played across Earth's news networks. Humans watched the proud leader of the galaxy's oldest civilization beg for mercy. Some felt satisfaction at seeing their former oppressors humbled. Others felt only sadness at the suffering. Young Lieutenant Commander Tony Martinez, son of former Ambassador Jake Martinez, represented a new generation of human leadership. He proposed a radical solution that would change everything. "We go back," he said at a public forum, "but not to the Council. We bypass them completely. We help worlds directly, one by one, on our terms. We become what the galaxy actually needs. Not members of their broken system, but the foundation of a better one." The idea spread quickly through human society. They could help the innocent without empowering the corrupt. They could save lives without accepting disrespect. They could be the galaxy's protectors without being its servants. The decision would reshape everything. The old order was dead. Now humanity would build a new one, with themselves at its center not as members, but as leaders. The galaxy had spent 6 months learning they could not survive without humans. Now they would learn what it meant to survive with them in charge. 1 year after humanity's great withdrawal, the galaxy looked nothing like it had before. The old order was dead. Something new was being born in its place. President Lisa Carter stood in the Global Assembly Hall, watching the most important vote in human history. Representatives from every human world and colony sat in the chamber. The question before them was simple. Would humanity return to galactic affairs or remain isolated forever? The debate had raged for weeks. Senator Jack Morrison led those who wanted to stay isolated. They had their chance, he said. They failed. Why should we trust them again? Director Kate Sullivan argued for selective engagement. We cannot watch billions die when we have the power to save them, but we go back on our terms, not theirs. Lieutenant Commander Tony Martinez stood to address the assembly. At 28, he was young for such an important moment, but his words carried weight. "The galaxy is broken," he said. "The council system failed because it put politics before people. We can build something better." His proposal was radical. Instead of rejoining the council, humanity would work directly with individual worlds. They would provide aid, protection, and guidance to planets that earned their partnership through respect and cooperation. "We become the galaxy's foundation," Tony explained. "Not as servants, but as leaders. Not as members of their broken system, but as creators of a better one." The vote was close, but Tony's vision won. Humanity would return to galactic affairs. But everything would be different this time. The first test came immediately. The Xanthari homeworld was dying. High Counselor Vextar had broadcast his desperate plea across the galaxy, begging for human help as his people suffocated unpoisoned. A.R. Dr. Monica Taylor led the first human mission to leave Earth in a year. Her ship, the Mercy, carried atmospheric processors that could save the Xanthari species. But her orders were clear. Help would come with conditions. She met with Vextar in his private chamber on the dying world. The once proud leader looked old and frail. His golden scales had turned dull gray from breathing toxic air. "Thank you for coming," he whispered. "We are ready to accept any terms you require." Dr. Taylor felt sorry for him, but she had a job to do. "We will save your world," she said. "But things will be different now. The Xanthari will withdraw from the Galactic Council. You will sign a mutual defense pact with humanity. And you will acknowledge our leadership in this sector of space." Vextar nodded without hesitation. "Done. Anything you require." Within days, human engineers had the atmospheric processors working again. The Xanthari homeworld began to heal. But more importantly, the galaxy's oldest and most respected species had formally recognized human authority. The message was clear. The old ways were finished. Similar scenes played out across known space. The Delta colonies, ravaged by plague, welcomed human medical teams with celebrations and parades. In exchange for life-saving treatments, they agreed to become a human protectorate, the planet Nexus Prime, overwhelmed by war refugees, practically, begged to join the growing human alliance. Captain Amy Brooks arrived with relief supplies and defensive weapons. The local government signed partnership agreements before her ships had even finished docking. The Corvin mining worlds offered their entire mineral wealth to humanity in exchange for working machinery and economic stability. Chief Engineer Bullock personally thanked the human technicians who restored his great excavators. "We were fools to think we could run these machines without you," he admitted. "We pledge our loyalty to the human alliance." Not everyone was happy with the changes. War Commander Thaxul, recovered from his defeat at human hands, tried to organize resistance to human expansion. The Vraxian Empire and several allied species formed what they called the Independence Coalition. "We will not bow to human overlords," Thaxul declared. "A galaxy belongs to all species, not just one." Admiral Ryan Cole dealt with the threat swiftly. Human fleets appeared at every Independence Coalition world simultaneously. They did not attack, but their message was unmistakable: resist and be destroyed. Most coalition members surrendered immediately. The Vraxian Empire held out for 3 days before their own people overthrew Thaxul and begged for mercy. The brief rebellion was over before it truly began. The speed and efficiency of the human response shocked everyone. In the old days, it would have taken months for the Council to organize any military action. Humans had crushed a multi-species rebellion in less than a week. Commander Steve Walsh coordinated the intelligence network that made such rapid responses possible. Human listening posts throughout the galaxy monitored every communication, every ship movement, every potential threat. "We know everything that happens in our territory," he reported to Admiral Cole. "And our territory keeps growing." Indeed it did. Every week brought new worlds seeking human protection. Some were fleeing wars that human peacekeepers had once prevented. Others faced economic collapse without human trade networks. Many simply wanted to be on the winning side of galactic politics. The Galactic Council still existed, but barely. High Counselor Vex Star's withdrawal from the Council had triggered a cascade of departures. The Altheans left to join the Human Alliance. The Corvins followed. The Delters had already signed exclusive agreements with Earth. Within 6 months, only 4 species remained in the original Council. They met in the great crystal halls that had once housed representatives from dozens of worlds. The empty seats reminded them daily of their failures. "We could dissolve the Council," suggested Elder Rimdar of the Torvin people. "Accept reality and request membership in the Human Alliance." "Never," declared Supreme Administrator Kexri of the Hegemony Remnants. "We will not surrender our independence to humans." But even as she spoke, her own people were reconsidering. The hegemony worlds faced constant pirate attacks without human patrol fleets. Their economies were failing without access to human trade networks. Pressure was building from within to abandon their failing leadership. The transformation was not limited to politics. Human technology spread throughout their allied worlds, bringing improvements that seemed like magic to species that had struggled with equipment failures for months. Dr. Helen Ross, the quantum drive expert who had been so desperately needed. During the crisis, now supervised teams of human engineers working throughout allied space. Faster than light travel became safer and more efficient under human management. The communication network that had been failing for a year was rebuilt using purely human technology. The new system was not only more reliable, but also more secure. Human intelligence services could monitor all traffic, ensuring that no threats went unnoticed. Trade flourished under human protection. The shipping lanes that had been plagued by pirates became safe again as human warships patrolled key routes. Merchant vessels that had been stranded during the crisis resumed their schedules. Most importantly, the wars stopped. The Kentari Morvac conflict that had consumed 12 star systems ended when both species joined the Human Alliance. Human mediators settled their territorial disputes within weeks, something the old Council had never managed in over a century. President Carter reviewed the monthly reports with satisfaction. In 1 year, humanity had gone from being ignored junior partners to undisputed leaders of galactic civilization. Over 60% of known worlds had signed some form of alliance or partnership agreement with Earth. The transformation is remarkable, she told her cabinet. But it is only the beginning. We are not just managing the galaxy now. We are reshaping it. The old Galactic Council had been based on the idea that all species were equal partners. The new human-led Federation worked on the principle that some species were simply better at leadership than others. Humans had proven their superiority through competence, not conquest. They had not invaded worlds or forced anyone to join their alliance. Instead, they had simply demonstrated that they could solve problems that no one else could handle. The galaxy had tried to function without human leadership. The experiment had been a disaster. Now, with humans properly in charge, peace and prosperity were returning to the stars. But challenges remained. The Independence Coalition was defeated, but not destroyed. Some species still resented human authority. The transformation from galactic chaos to human order was not yet complete. The real test would come when humanity had to prove they could not just save the galaxy, but govern it wisely for generations to come. 2 years after the Great Withdrawal, the galaxy had been transformed completely. The old Galactic Council was nothing but a memory. In its place stood the Human Federation, a network of allied worlds that spanned known space. The ceremony on Haven, the new capital world jointly colonized by humans and Anthari, drew representatives from over 200 planets. President Lisa Carter stood at the podium, looking out at the assembled delegates. The document she was about to sign would create the most powerful government in galactic history. Today we establish not just a new alliance, she said, but a new way of thinking about galactic civilization. A Federation charter guarantees that no member world will ever again be treated as less important than others. Every species that joins us does so as an equal partner in building our shared future. The charter contained one crucial clause that made everyone remember why they were there. Article 15 was known as the Never Again provision. If any member of the Federation ever tried to marginalize or exclude another member based on species, the entire government would dissolve immediately. High Counselor Vextar, now serving as Federation Vice President, added his signature to the document. His people had learned the hard way what happened when cooperation turned to oppression. The Xanthari led galactic government for 1,000 years, he said. We failed because we forgot that leadership means service, not dominance. The humans have shown us a better way. The transformation had not been easy. 3 major crises had tested the new order before it was fully established. The first came when the Vraxian Empire made one last attempt to restore the old ways. General Horax, who had taken control after Thaxula's defeat, launched surprise attacks on Federation worlds. Her strategy was to create so much chaos that the human alliance would collapse. Admiral Ryan Cole's response was swift and decisive. Federation fleets struck back with overwhelming force. But instead of simply destroying the Vraxian military, they did something unexpected. They offered every Vraxian world a choice: join the Federation or face continued isolation. Most Vraxian colonies chose the Federation. They had seen what human leadership could accomplish and wanted to be part of it. General Horax found herself commanding an empire of 3 worlds instead of 30. The second crisis was more complex. The discovery of a new species in the Outer Rim created problems no one had anticipated. The Nexari were a peaceful people who had just achieved faster-than-light travel. They sent a simple message asking for contact with galactic civilization. Under the old council system, first contact would have taken months of bureaucratic planning. The Federation handled it differently. Captain Amy Brooks, now commanding the exploration fleet, made peaceful contact within days. But the Nexari brought disturbing news. They had fled their original homeworld to escape a plague that was spreading through their population. The disease was unlike anything known to galactic medicine. Dr. Monica Taylor led the medical response. Working with Xanthari healers and Alphean scientists, she developed a cure within weeks. The Nexari were saved, and they joined the Federation gratefully. The speed of the response impressed everyone. Under human leadership, the Federation could solve problems that would have destroyed entire species under the old system. The third crisis tested the Federation's principles. The planet Corvana Minor faced economic collapse when their main export became worthless due to new technology. Under the old system, they would have been abandoned to their fate. Instead, Federation economists worked with local leaders to develop new industries. Human engineers helped them build manufacturing facilities. Within a year, Corvana Minor was more prosperous than ever before. The message was clear. Federation membership meant something. No world would be left behind. Lieutenant Commander Tony Martinez, now Federation Secretary General, oversaw the day-to-day operations of this vast organization. His office on Haven coordinated the activities of hundreds of worlds. The key difference, he explained to visiting diplomats, is that we solve problems instead of arguing about them. Every world contributes what it does best. Every species benefits from the partnership. The Federation's success was built on recognizing each species' strengths. Centauri provided wise leadership and long-term planning. Altheans managed trade and commerce. Corvins handled mining and manufacturing. Delters contributed medical knowledge. But humans remained the foundation that held everything together. Their technology protected Federation space. Their diplomats mediated disputes. Their scientists pushed the boundaries of knowledge. The old saying had proven true. Humans really did make the galaxy work. Commander Steve Walsh, now head of Federation intelligence, monitored the few remaining independent worlds. Most showed signs of wanting to join, but were held back by stubborn leaders who refused to accept the new reality. The Torvin Republic is facing food shortages, he reported to the Federation Council. Their government still refuses our aid, but their people are sending secret messages asking for help. The Federation's policy was clear. They would not force anyone to join, but they would always be ready to help those who asked. The transformation was not just political. The galaxy itself was changing. Trade flowed more freely than ever before under Federation protection. Scientific research accelerated as species shared knowledge instead of hoarding it. The communication network that had nearly collapsed during the crisis was now stronger than ever. Human engineers had rebuilt it using advanced quantum technology that made instantaneous communication possible across the entire galaxy. Most importantly, the wars had ended. The Federation's military might was so overwhelming that no one dared challenge it. But more than that, the Federation's system of fair representation and mutual benefit meant that most conflicts were resolved before they could turn violent. Dr. Helen Ross, now the Federation's chief science officer, oversaw research projects that would have been impossible under the old system. Teams of scientists from dozens of species worked together on problems that affected everyone. We are not just maintaining galactic civilization, she told her research teams. We are improving it every day. The ceremony on Haven concluded with President Carter's final words. 2 years ago, humanity withdrew from galactic affairs because we were not valued as partners. Today, we lead a federation based on the principle that every member has something valuable to contribute. She looked out at the assembled representatives. This galaxy belongs to all of us. But it works because we have learned to work together. Ambassador Jake Martinez, who had delivered humanity's original withdrawal message, now served as Federation ambassador to independent worlds. His job was to help remaining holdouts understand the benefits of joining the new order. The old council failed because it put politics before people, he explained to potential new members. The Federation succeeds because it puts cooperation before competition. The numbers spoke for themselves. Federation worlds enjoyed peace, prosperity, and technological advancement. Independent worlds faced isolation, economic problems, and constant security threats. The choice was obvious to most people, even if their leaders were slow to accept it. As the ceremony ended and delegates returned to their homeworlds, the message went out across the galaxy. The Federation Charter was now in effect. The new order was official. Captain Amy Brooks received the first test of the new system within hours. A distress signal came from the edge of known space. An unknown species had achieved faster than light travel and was requesting contact with galactic civilization. Under the old council system, such contact would have been handled by a committee after months of debate. Under the Federation system, Captain Brooks simply followed the established protocols. She launched immediately to make peaceful contact. The message was clear. In this new galaxy, help came quickly to those who needed it. Problems were solved efficiently. Every species that joined the Federation became part of something greater than themselves. The old Galactic Council had been built on the idea that all species were equal. The Human Federation was built on the better idea that all species were valuable. The difference had saved galactic civilization. 2 years after humanity's withdrawal, had nearly destroyed everything. Their return had created the strongest, most prosperous, most peaceful galaxy in recorded history. The panic was over. The new age had begun.